you spoke a little bit to the experience of having lived in Ohio, so you're states away, and going through this build experience. What was that like to have Golden Eagle then as your one-stop shop design center showroom and pick everything out ahead of time?
We were talking about that this morning.
On the way here, yes.
Because we built the house that we lived in Ohio as well. So we know what it's like to have to go to the store to pick out your toilets, to go to the store to pick out your sinks, to go to the store to pick out your cabinets, to go somewhere else. And it's a lot of different stops. But it was, Selections Day is the most fun day of this entire process for sure. And you're coming in here and it's all here. You can touch it. You can, you know exactly what you're getting. And we came in pretty prepared to that selections meeting. We kind of had a real good idea. We found a sink online that we really liked for the kitchen. So we had some things in mind, and then you could show us additional things to compare. And some of the things, we stuck with our original, and then actually the ceiling in the great room and through the whole main part of the house, you changed our minds when we were here because that product was brand new at that time. And you had the whole wall set up and we could look at it and just stand right in front of it, touch it, feel it. And it was, it's a game changer to be able to do all that.
And that was another really a cost cutting measure because we had a more rustic board that we were going to put in there. But it was going to have to be stained. Every board was going to have to be stained by our builder. Okay. What we chose, that new product that you had, still had a rustic look to it, had the color that we wanted, and it saved us, a good amount of money on the fact that our builder didn't have to stain it. Because, that's labor, and that wasn't getting any cheaper either.
Right.
So when we came in here for the selections and we made that choice to change that, again, it was, we didn't consider it a cost cutting measure, even though it was, because the look of it is awesome, as you saw.
Yeah, right. It is.
Right.
And that's the two topics we just touched on are the true two benefits of Golden Eagle, that complete package, talking about maybe reducing some of those amenities, to control cost. We're designing the home and then designing those and actually manufacturing and producing those materials. So we can tell you, hey, here are some options that not even going to know. Like the tongue grew on the ceiling. Nobody's going to ever know the difference.
No. It's
still a beautiful product, but here's the cost saving measures. So we can incorporate that into the design, into the materials, the proposal. Definitely a peace of mind when you're building, 2 states away.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you don't realize when you're going through the process is you look at it and you say, okay, well, that's only going to save us $2,000 on the house. Okay, well, but if you save $2,000 here and you save another $1,000 here, and you save another $800 here. And on a house like that, it adds up in a hurry. And it's money that you can spend then elsewhere.
On your non-negotiables.
On your non-negotiables, on your landscaping, because I tell you what, landscaping is not cheap.
Especially with what you guys did.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
So it's, you can appropriate dollars elsewhere. So thinking that, okay, that $1,000 doesn't make that much of a difference. But in the overall picture, when you look at the grand scheme of the entire project, you save a little here, you save a little there, and all of a sudden, I think we had a cabinet allowance of originally like $80,000 for our home was the cabinet allowance. And that just kind of blew our mind. $80,000 for that's our allowance. And I can remember, you and Justin saying, I think we can cut this back a little bit. We can be under that. And I think we ended up, saving about $15,000 on the cabinets by the way we we went with it. And, like I said, that it all adds up in the grand scheme.
Yeah. We've been in your shoes. We don't want to see an allowance when you're building a new house and assume that that's just the starting end of
Right.
things. We want to represent, all right, this is where clients usually spend more money, and this is an appropriate allowance. We don't want you to feel like everything's got to be an upgrade.
Right.
So that was a good example where, we perhaps overestimated on what you might need to spend on cabinetry.
Right.
And we're still able to put custom cabinetry in your home that looks incredible.
And
for
save
less
money.
than the allowance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, house that you built in Ohio, I would make the assumption that you were still picking out a lot of these items while it was under construction.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
safe to say?
Yes.
So here is a big stress reliever, I'd imagine, where you haven't even started construction yet and you selected all these
Right.
items.
Everything was laid out for us. And after that selections meeting, we went home with physical samples of a lot of the things that we took, plus the slideshow that you put together. Each and everything that we chose was put in a slideshow that I could refer back to, if I had questions. And we could still make changes after that point too, without, damaging, because we made our decisions so far ahead of time. I remember one of the changes that we made within the first week after our selections meeting is like, why did we say we wanted ivory toilets? I don't want ivory toilets. I want white toilets. Got on the phone with you guys and made that quick change. And there was no big deal to make those changes because we had time to think about it. It wasn't, everything wasn't set in stone right away. You can't make any changes. And that was another thing that we talked about too on our way here was with your architectural plans. I think, how many changes were we allowed?
I think it was 50.
It was 50. Yeah, it was something
that's
crazy.
just insane.
Yep.
Because, we felt like we were making changes, and at first I thought, oh, maybe we should be marking down every time we make a change. And I'm like, we're never going to get to 50 changes. and we didn't. And we did make some, we made changes along the way that, had to be re-engineered and things like that. And it was never a problem.
Yeah.